In 1897, Vienna became the host city to a cultural revolution. That year, 40 artists broke away from the established artists' house to set up a bold new institution of their own, the Vienna Secession. These were the painters and sculptors of the avant-garde, full of new ideas about visual art. They wanted to break down the barriers between art and craft. They sought a suggestive, psychological impact in their work. The artists of the Secession brought Vienna into the exciting world of end-of-the-century European art, and they were led by a painter recognized as a giant of the age, Gustav Klimt. Klimt was, and remains, an enigmatic figure. He rarely revealed his innermost thoughts. He was described as moody and taciturn, a monk-like figure, permanently clad in his blue artist's smock. For Klimt, it was his art that revealed his identity as a man, and his pictures are now recognized as masterpieces of the age. Gustav Klimt's artistic career started early on. Even as a student, he received valuable commissions. We can still admire the striking naturalism of his early works. But his greatest achievements were created later in his life, after a long and deliberate artistic evolution. Bejeweled, decorative, powerfully erotic. It is for these unprecedented pictures that Gustav Klimt is globally famous today.
What I enjoy most about Klimt is his sensuality, his colour, his decorative effects, which he achieved through using several different traditions of art: Indian art, European art, and Eastern art.
I think superficially it would be the pattern, surface pattern of his work, the fact that he involves surface pattern, he uses surface pattern, which was quite unusual. But I think what I respond to is the fact he didn't follow any particular trend. He was his own man, and was therefore, and because of that, he was not recognised, and it's only comparatively recently that actually he's been recognised as a major figure.
Klimt was born on the 14th of July, 1862, close to the city that would be his lifelong home. His father worked in Vienna as a goldsmith and engraver, and he was keen for his sons to become craftsmen like himself. One of Klimt's brothers did become a goldsmith, but the young Gustav displayed a wider artistic talent. At the age of 14, along with his brother Ernst, he was enrolled in the Vienna School of the Applied Arts. This was a newly founded institution offering a curriculum far broader than that on offer at the established Academy of Fine Art. The Klimt brothers learnt the techniques of mosaic and fresco. They studied the history of design, and in the classes of Professor Ferdinand Laufberger, they were schooled in the art of decorative painting. Away from their formal studies, they also took time to learn the art of portraiture by copying from photographs. Long before leaving the Academy in 1883, Gustav and Ernst Klimt were securing commissions and making money as artists. Shortly after completing his formal studies, Gustav Klimt set up his own studio in Vienna, along with his brother and an Academy friend, Franz Matsch. That year, Klimt completed this commission for a published series of paintings entitled Allegories and Emblems. Here we see a conventional neoclassical image, very different from his famous pictures of later life. But this is also a highly competent painting for a young man fresh from school. Commissioned works like these proved valuable for Klimt and his colleagues. In 1886, their studio received an even greater task: to decorate the ceiling and staircases for Vienna's opulent new theatre, the new Burgtheater. Theatre itself provided the subject matter for the work. Here we see Gustav Klimt's depiction of a performance of Romeo and Juliet in the famous Globe Theatre of Shakespeare's time. The Burgtheater decorations also included this image of the Antique Theatre in Taormina, a work revealing Klimt's interest in classical themes. This fascination with the classical stayed with Klimt throughout his life.
He was trained as a classical artist, had to go along to the museums and galleries and copy classical casts, and the most important artist in Vienna in the 80s and 90s, called Makart, used classical subjects. In fact, all the academies in Europe used classical subjects, and Klimt had to come to grips with that if he was going to be successful, which he wanted to be.
Klimt's early works also reveal a striking ability to depict the human face. In his Shakespearean decoration at the Burgtheater, Klimt wears a giant ruff alongside his two studio colleagues. By this stage, his years of copying photographs were now proving to be especially valuable. The Burgtheater decorations won his studio a prize from the Austrian emperor himself. Shortly afterwards, Klimt received a further commission with a theatrical subject. He was asked to paint the audience gathered for a performance at Vienna's Old Burgtheater. The result was a virtual snapshot of Viennese society in the late 1880s. Entitled The Auditorium of the Old Burgtheater, this is a small work executed in opaque colours mixed with water, gum and honey, the medium of gouache. It was a huge undertaking. When news of the commission spread, the leading lights of Viennese society beat a path to the artist's door, desperate to be included in the scene. It's believed that Klimt produced no less than 1,500 preparatory sketches before completing the picture. The painting was rapturously received. In 1890, the very same work earned Gustav Klimt the Emperor's Prize.
As a painting, I don't think it's a particularly great achievement at all. As an exercise in publicity, it was absolutely brilliant. Because all the socialites in Vienna wanted to be in the painting, he became very well known.
Reminds us very much of some of the Academy paintings, for instance in the Royal Academy, where everyone wants to be in it. The private view at the Royal Academy by Frith is a good example.
The success of the auditorium painting made Gustav Klimt a famous figure in Vienna, and his studio was soon commissioned to carry out another large decoration for the History of Art Museum. Klimt's task was to decorate the wall spaces between the pilaster columns with figures drawn from art history. When completed, the result was an intriguing series of portraits following a journey from ancient Egypt through classical times to the Italian Renaissance. Klimt's near-photographic depictions of human facial features are startling. His emphasis on female subjects permeated his life's works. Klimt's use of gold as part of his decorative colour scheme became a feature of much of his radical later work. Many viewers of the museum decorations are also struck by the strikingly modern appearance of many of his female figures. But these are still orthodox paintings. When Klimt completed the decorations in 1891, he was still working in the established natural